Hello, everyone out there. Welcome to
Hey.
Stormwreck Island Hacked. Woohoo! Hello,
Ew.
Derek.
Hello.
Hello, John.
Hello.
Hello, Johnny.
Hello.
And I'm Ben. We are playing an urban-focused world-building campaign where we de-emphasize combat, emphasize skills, exploration, investigation, character building, sort of normal experience in life, where combat and pain are something that people would generally prefer to avoid, and where danger is real and intrigue is fascinating. So sort of D&D with hints of Call of Cthulhu. If you haven't watched the two previous videos where we've talked about how we might hack the D&D rules, you can watch those to catch up a little bit on that kind of philosophy. We have since then met together and workshopped our characters a bit, so I'll get my wonderful players to share quite a lot of detail about their characters very soon. And we are going to build this world together with you, so we'd love you to put in comments, not only correcting my horrendous misrepresentations of the world of Faerun, which I'm frantically trying to study up on more and more and more. I've taken the step, I've taken the dive to actually set this in Faerun, which is wonderful and exciting. Pre-Spell Plague Faerun. So yeah. Shall I tell a little bit about Faerun first, and then you guys can introduce your characters? So we are in Faerun in 1372 in the Dale Reckoning, which is around the year, in fact, it is the year that Neverwinter Nights 1 starts, the computer game. It is pre-Spell Plague. There's the Sword Coast, which is the west side of the continent. There's 3 major cities. Most currently famous is Baldur's Gate, explored really, really well and in detail in the wonderful game. It's like it is in the game. There's Waterdeep, which is a highly cosmopolitan and sort of richly diverse and successful city. There's Neverwinter, which is much further to the north and should be very, very cold, but is heated from volcanic activity beneath it. It's a little more of a kind of a dangerous state. There's all sorts of cultures and richly explored timelines that are going on all over the continent. But we are on the Isle of Stormwreck, a few miles off the coast of Waterdeep. I've taken the island of Stormwreck from the module. We have doubled it in size, and we've added a medium-large medieval city on the southeastern corner in the harbour. A large medieval city of, say, 20,000 people typically easily fit into a single square mile. So we might show you a map, which I'll send to John and he can edit into the video. Bing! You can see one of those hexes normally is half a mile, but the hexes that are now 1 mile. And the hospice of Stormwreck Island, which is in the module, exists on this island, and various other bits and pieces exist as well. And we're going to enrich in this map, bing, as we go along and explore the island and explore life. The player characters have kind of pretty much lived an urban life in the city, minding their own business the rest of the island. The island is a place of some kind of magical healing and holy kind of dedicated area. One of the large industries on the island is mining dragon bone, which is used on the mainland in the manufacture of weapons and as spell components and all sorts of other things that people do with it. There's many, many dragon skeletons over hundreds and hundreds of years exist in this island, some in caves, some underground, some lying more obviously on the surface. There's definitely something very dragony about this island, dragon energy, and it's partially that's led power to the hospice, which all of these characters have some kind of connection with, and we'll explore that in detail as we go along. Life is peaceful on the mainland at the moment. it has been for a little while. I hesitate to say decade because I'm sure in the comments you can post and say some of the events that have happened in the 10 years previous to 1372 and which of those might have impinged upon this island off in the sea, which is fairly safely protected from most of the machinations. It's very dense, the history of Faerun, and there's always sort of different modules that have appeared at all different dates and sort of near world-ending crises being prevented by groups of PCs over and over again, all over the place. But presumably a lot of the continent sort of just operates in a fairly normal, kind of predictable way from day to day, especially if you're in the safety of the warm sea. And with that, why don't we introduce our characters? Who wants to go first? John?
Assign us one. It's much easier.
That's right.
That's way easier.
Yeah. Everyone's way too polite. Okay, excellent. Do that.
So I'm playing Darrow of the Healer's Hearth. And Darrow has 2 levels in Cleric and 2 in Artificer, which is more of an alchemy build than anything else. Darrow started out working at the hospice, but he got into alcohol quite badly, the sampling of fine drinks, and also a little bit of womanizing with some of the nurses. And one in particular was a scandalous affair which caused him to be kicked out of the Healers Guild. Is it a guild, Ben? I'm not sure.
Sort of a loose organization led by Runara, who's this elderly, beautiful, wise woman who keeps everything under control, and her staff.
She isn't the one I had a scandalous affair with, though, right?
No, definitely not. No, she wouldn't be up for that sort of stuff.
Not yet. But maybe in the future. We'll see.
There's a character aim, a character arc aim.
That's my character goal. And so he basically, when he was kicked out, he decided to pursue his interests in brewing, and so he built he bought probably a tavern and started doing it up, and it's called the Healer's Hearth. And the idea is that it is the medicine for the people. So people go there to be healed of their ailments. And due to the fact that I have some alchemy and some healing in my build, that is actually literally what happens sometimes. So it is a place of healing and also bawdy kind of behavior as well. That's my character.
We have notes from our last discussion is that the person involved with you at the hospice was Sister Honora. The event is now known as The Incident and involved public lovemaking that no one can fathom how the heck and why the heck Honora was involved in it in any way.
It was right next to like this purity fountain, and they're worried that the fountain is somehow impure now.
That's right. So yes. Yes, and they're getting a lot of good work out of Honora, who's sort of frantically trying to atone for her sort of.
I definitely got a lot of good work out of Honora. Yeah.
Beautiful. So you own and run the Healer's Hearth, not entirely ironically named, and awesome. It's a successful business, a tavern. Does it have accommodation?
I'd like to think so, yeah, because I think the other players often spend time there, so it'd probably be good to have.
I hope so, because that's where I live.
Yeah.
Excellent. Has accommodation, has a bar, supplies food.
Yeah, I think when Murray comes and joins us, there was some talk of him being the cook or something.
Yep, or even just the dishwasher, was he even suggested?
Well, if you got a dishwasher, you probably need some dishes. So, yeah, I reckon there's
that's right, yeah.
Cook food.
Yep, excellent. Fantastic. So, yeah, it's a hub. It's a kind of a proper hub of community and a welcoming place where sort of needs are met and
we were talking about it maybe being on the harbour, is that right? So it's like the first port of call for many sailors coming in and those who are sick.
Yep. Near to the harbour. Sick for good food.
Yeah.
Sick for companionship. That's right.
We provide it all.
Excellent.
I don't imagine it's the kind of place where there's a lot of wenching going on. I didn't picture it like that. I kind of pictured it more like a more subdued tavern. Yeah.
I was imagining companionship as in literally someone to tell your stories to and to chat to and to be listened to.
Yeah, there's a bard in the corner, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you keep bards who play music and things?
That'd be fun. Yeah, especially if they're terrible.
That's right. Excellent. Good. I have terrible. Sirenscape does indeed have terrible bard music.
You do have drunken bard music.
I have drunken bard music. Yep. Excellent. Maybe sometimes you have special evenings. You get some actual decent troops, or maybe troops come in, sail in from the mainland who actually have talent.
Trade it for board and food and that. Yep.
That sounds cool. I love that. Okay. Excellent.
Oh, and I'm a human too. Sorry, I forgot.
And
that
you're
part.
human. Okay, excellent. Everyone just sees a person.
I shall start with my race or my species. Then I'm an orc. D&D 5th edition has the ability to play full-blooded orcs as a playable race. So I tried to pick that, and in the spirit of sort of taking juxtaposed ideas and mashing them together, I've chosen to play an orc wizard. And so I think his name is Arland Blackhand, and he grew up as a young orc boy, a lad in their clan, in their tribe, but loved to explore the wilds and was constantly going off on these many-day hikes and exploring the mountainsides, and discovered a wizard's tower and was intrigued by the person coming to and from this tower, and ended up sort of spying on him and watching him from afar, and eventually the wizard, who happened to be a divination wizard, figured out that he was being spied upon and invited Arland in for a cup of tea, and that started a great friendship. And he trained him, and he became his mentor and sort of more close than any of the rest of his family. He was from a fairly prominent family in the clan, and when they found out that he was studying to be a wizard, they didn't exactly cast him out, but they definitely sort of shunned him, and he felt very sort of separated and shamed almost because of this interest that he felt naturally inclined to do. He was intelligent and inquisitive and well spoken and good with his words and kind of charismatic as well. So all of these things were a bit of an anathema to the clan, and they started to give him less and less time. And eventually, when he said that he wanted to go and explore the greater world, he'd heard tale of a mystery that just he could not resist. They gave him a pot of money and sent him on his way, and sort of didn't expect ever to see him again.
The prodigal orc.
Right.
Why is he called Blackhand?
So that was a bit of a mishap when he was studying some invocation magic, and it backfired a little bit, and Blackhand, Arland Blackhand.
I'm picturing Dumbledore's hand when he gets cursed. That kind of...
Yeah, nice.
Magical study mishap.
The reason that I'm at Stormwreck is because I have uncovered in some ancient texts a island that appears off the coast under certain conditions. Whether those conditions are magical or meteorological or some other effect, I am uncertain, but I feel very strongly that this is a true thing that happens, and I'd love some feedback from the chat as to how under what circumstance this island appears, and whether it's, even whether it's an island or at all, or whatever. So
that's cool. We discussed some things about you having been at the hospice and having been cared for by John's character. Has that gone by the wayside, which I have no problem with at all?
I think it's gone by the wayside, but I did like the other thing that we talked about, in that the way that I'm making a bit of money is I'm providing potions and spell components. And so I'm using my hiking ability to go out and and find ingredients for various potions, and I'm selling them to sailors and people around the isle. And I hope to kind of expand my repertoire into magic items a little bit later on. So
I love it. Okay, so you might know a little bit about the geography of the island every now and then. So we can when people ask difficult questions, we can ask you where things are, or whether something exists or not.
that's right.
Derek knows and have to make the spontaneous dungeon master decision. Excellent.
It's that way.
That's right. Okay, good. So you do. Okay, so you have a connection not with the library of the hospice, but with probably the healer cook guy.
I think I would definitely have a contacts at the library of the town.
Well, the library of Stormwreck Island is in the hospice, and it's run by Archivist Feldren, and he is the one who you spend quite a lot of time you're trying to find some evidence of this island in the library of the hospice.
Yep, definitely.
And so you visit there, and you buy your way in with spell components delivered to Tarek, who is ostensibly the cook and the daily comfort manager, but he also provides healing herbs and teas and restorative broths and things, and collects spell components from the island of various different places as well, which are then used in some of the sort of the activities of the actual professional healers.
Does he have a good reputation? Or is he watered down everything?
He has a very excellent reputation. Everyone prefers the nights when Tarek cooks. He has a couple of helpers. The hospice is assisted to a certain extent by a group of kobolds who also occupy the northern parts of the island where the hospice is, and they have kind of inveigled their way into its operations and help out mostly usefully. But they, of course, sort of connect with the draconic kind of whatever it is that goes on in this island and are attracted to the hospice and their activities. And for some reason, Renara employs them. The nights that they cook are not so good, but any night that Tarek cooks, it's going to be a very, very good night.
Is there one doesn't cook quite so well that everyone avoids?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, my autocorrect changed poultice to police several times.
Excellent. He brews small police that go and arrest the infections.
He's a police merchant.
Excellent. Yeah. I love it.
Awesome.
Yep. Okay. Good. That all works for me. Any suggestions in the comments would be very good that we can add to our characters, especially if they make sense with regard to Faerun in 1372. Johnny.
Cool. So I'm playing Gwynlynn Greenhand. She is a dwarf bard / ranger, and she has a fairly complicated backstory. So she was brought up in quite a traditional kind of dwarven community, living deep underground with her family. And she never really fit with that sort of society. She feels like she was born with music in her soul. And, even as a small child, she'd be singing and dancing and generally getting on the nerves of the other dwarves around her and her family and in her community. These dwarves are very kind of... they like beauty, and they're kind of, there's a lot of different kinds of craftsmen and so on in her lineage. But she had this sort of poetic desire to create art inspired by the beauty of the world, especially the world above on the surface. The sky, the sea, the trees, the sunrise, the sunset, the seasons, all these things that in the dwarven world are kind of foreign. She just longed for that world. So as soon as she was old enough to go out on her own, she did so. So that's kind of where the rain.
Yeah, unhealthy interest in above ground,
Indeed.
Mildly
Indeed.
claustrophobic.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, she's spent many years wandering around Faerun to all sort of different places, meeting different people, and spending a lot of time just out in the wilderness, away from kind of settlements and things, and writing music, writing songs, and sort of getting by essentially by busking. When she'd come to a village or a town, she'd sing on the street corners or in taverns or wherever she could find a few coins. And she sort of wandered and wandered and wandered, and in all that wandering found her way to the sea and to Stormwreck Isle. And this is sort of the first place that she's actually put down roots and settled. She got married to a halfling called Harding Greenhand, which is where her very halfling name Greenhand comes from him.
Harding.
And Harding is his name. And he worked and has worked for a long, long time as the concierge at the hospice. So he's got her some work as a bard, playing music for people in the hospice, and kind of learning to kind of use her musical gifts to provide healing and comfort to the people there. And she sort of learned from some of the other bards there in kind of honing that part of her skill. But sometimes she just likes to sing her songs and bring people joy and bring some beauty into the world. So she has been known to sing from time to time at her favourite tavern, the Healer's Hearth.
How kind. Gwynlynn works on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th day of the hospice week. As everyone would know and would violently point out, I'm sure at this point, that Faerun has a 10-day week in general. And
Violently
the days
point out?
Yeah, because I'm about to say I'm about to say that the hospice operates on a 7-day week for some reason that Renara sort of won't explain.
Progressive.
And the days have progressive. That's right, exactly. Modern. The days of Faerun's week are imaginatively named 1st day, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, etc., etc. But the 5th day on the hospice is called Heal Day, and there's 3 different things that people who are at the hospice can participate. One is some massages and healing touches thing. There's also a cleansing bath ritual that happens in the springs. Always the most well attended activity is Gwynlynn Greenhand's music therapy, sharing sorrows, laughter, and song. It's called, and she does that every Heal Day, and is well appreciated.
What did you say the year was again?
1372. Are you reading up?
Yes.
Don't talk for a little bit, Ben. He's reading.
That's right. That's right.
Everyone be quiet.
Makes great content. Watching Derek read.
Okay, I found it. Okay, got it.
Okay, I have it in my notes that Derek's character never misses one of these sessions. Can that still be true?
You sure? For the what's her name?
So every Thursday, every Heal Day. No, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Heal Day. Gwynlynn Greenhand, Johnny's character, plays music and tells stories accompanied by her instrument, which is what, a luty type thing or a harpy type thing?
A dulcimer.
A dulcimer.
Yeah, I hope you've got some good dulcimer music in Siren's Game.
I might have to record some dulcimer.
Under the bus.
Dulcimer.
Sweat starts to beat on Ben's
That's right.
brow.
I will have dulcimer music next week. You just wait.
I can't wait.
Is it an Appalachian dulcimer? What sort of specific dulcimer? That's right. Okay, yeah, I'll record some dulcimer music for when you finally deign to play in the pub. Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
I think that's doing pretty well. any other thoughts re the world? So you've got a large city, 20,000 people. It's got a keep. It's ruled over reasonably orderly. It's kind of got a semi kind of frontier kind of town. People take care of themselves to a certain extent. So the authorities keep a loose grip on what goes on and don't really interfere very much at all in general. There's a town guard who sorts out things when they're needed, but who are more interested probably in being fairly lax. It's a very cosmopolitan port town, obviously, because you are on the route. It's a heck of a lot easier and cheaper to stop on Stormwreck Island to rewater and to gain supplies and things than to pull into a great big sprawling metropolis with all its taxes and everything like Waterdeep. So you get people, anyone basically going anywhere to anywhere else in the west coast of Faerun goes via here. So there's always some interesting characters, and they frequently turn up at the Healing Hearth, which is wonderful.
So it's not called Stormwreck Island because people crash and wreck. It's a kind of an ironic name.
No, there has been a bad wreck, right? On the northern side?
There have been wrecks known. Nothing in the last sort of decade or so significantly. Nothing too bad. But yeah, perhaps it is slightly has a perilous northern path, but people have been avoiding that more of late.
Not since we put up the beacon.
That's
the
right.
Lighthouse kind of thing.
That's right. There's a string of increasingly small, you would have seen on the map when it was shown, of increasingly small sort of islets that head off into the north, and they do continue a fair bit further out to the north into the ocean and poke up into the water at sort of awkward boat scuttling kind of depths of sort of 1 meter and 1.5 meters. So people have been known to ram into them, especially in storms, because it's quite stormy, but nothing of late. Let's boot up some tavern sounds.
Oh, dulcimer.
Dulcimer. I don't have any dulcimer. I do, however, have a drunken bard who I shall start up.
I can have
man.
He's definitely got a dulcimer.
He's just playing it backwards.
He is. You wait, I'm going to have dulcimer next week. That sounds like a great thing.
Just bear in mind that this is being recorded, so...
That's right. Oh, no, I will. That's very inspiring. Composers and musicians love sort of strictures and deadlines and creative
Johnny,
creative
set some
requirements.
challenges, please.
That's right. It's a left-handed dulcimer, that doesn't sound very left-handed to me. Fantastic. So what's everyone doing? So what's a general busy 6-day evening look like for you, John? For
I think I'm probably running around like a headless chicken. Because I mean, this is probably is it the 6th day is the most busy?
Definitely,
because people are maybe being discharged after healing day. Maybe that's the day they get discharged, and so the place is generally quite packed on the 6th day. I'm running around like crazy, and I'm not very coordinated. So there's a bit of crashing and bumping and dropping of ale and that kind of thing. But and I think I've got a few helpers. I imagine either people that are paying for their board, or they may be of varying skill levels.
Excellent.
Do you want me to have a cook that is sort of established?
I think so. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
Who could my cook be?
Who could the cook be? I like it. I love the
fact
you have a fur bowl cook, just enormous, stooped over in the kitchen.
I'm busy. I kind of like that.
I love it.
That.
Yep. Fur bowl cook.
What can we call? What's a fur bowl kind of name?
What's a fur bowl name?
Maybe just call it cook.
Cook.
I'm cook.
Cookie.
Has
my name describes what I do.
Everyone calls him Cook. He probably has a beautiful, culturally appropriate name that sort of talks about his youth and links in with his father's on his mother's second side or something like that. But
that's more of the heights.
Cook.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. Called Cook. Excellent. And he's a good cook, presumably, if you've had him permanently, attached.
I think he's a temperamental cook. I
Okay.
think when he wants to be, he's like when he's not drinking, he's great. But, so maybe certain days of the week he's better than others. But I think today would be a good day because it's after Healer's Day.
Yeah. Okay, good. Does he get irritated by the drunken bard, maybe, and that sort of drives him to drink? kind of thing?
Maybe he throws things across the room at him
Yeah.
occasionally.
Yeah. Dislikes mistakes or something, musical mistakes.
Yeah, maybe he's got a very
he-
sensitive ear.
That's right.
He gets on well
So
with
there's
Johnny's character.
That's right. So there's all this cooking noise and shouting and everything, but you can still just hear like a little wheedly little wasp sting. The wrong notes of this bard coming through from outside in the hall. Yeah,
Perhaps this bard is missing a string and is trying to compensate as well.
that's right. Yeah, I think most bards are trying to compensate, aren't they? Excellent, and that makes him that frustrates him sort of at a continual level, and eventually he sort of drinks at some point, and then the cooking sort of becomes a little bit random and things are more burnt than usual. Maybe that's what motivates you to actually get Gwynlynn to come and play.
Yeah.
It's like, the food's going. You need to come and play. You need to soothe my cook.
Yeah.
But things are fine at this time of the week. The bard hasn't played. Maybe the bunch of people who are paying for their board and food by serving at the moment have been playing for a few nights.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're a couple of musicians or something. Yeah. Okay,
Sounds great.
excellent. This is why Gwynlynn plays. Okay, and where is everyone else then? Johnny, what are you doing?
So I reckon that on the 6th day of the week is our date night.
Okay. 3 days.
Gwynlynn and
cool.
Harding go
Dave
to
Joy.
it's the one day off, as the concierge, the intake of the new what do you call them? Clients?
Clients, yes.
Patients?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. We don't call them patients, we call them clients because
Yeah.
we're bringing services to them. Renata is very clear about this. That's right.
Okay, good. So the new clients come in on the 7th day. So the 6th day is sort of the very everyone is pretty well established. They don't need Harding's services quite as much by this point in the week, and then he gets really busy the next day.
Yeah.
So it's the best day for him to knock off early and go to the tavern.
Excellent. That's right. Excellent. And you're also flush with a bit of cash because you've been paid for your work running the music therapy sessions. Excellent. Excellent. So you're there having
So I
date
think
night.
we found a little table somewhere, and we're just catching up and reconnecting.
I imagine I've got a table reserved for you guys because you're regulars. Like this is your usual. Somewhere further away from the bard, maybe. Close to the fire and far away from the bard.
Yeah. Excellent.
Where is the tavern situated? Like in terms of, like, is it in the middle
Fairly
of the
close
town,
to the
or
port.
is it?
No. So fairly close to the coast. So yeah, you've got it's out of the kind of the noise and the port.
Is
but
there
it's very
a
much visible.
window? Is there a window table somewhere where we can look out over the ocean?
Yeah, absolutely. See,
I reckon that can be our reserved spot.
Ships gently rocking. Absolutely.
Watching
So
the stars kind of twinkle and reflect off the water.
Yeah. Harding is conjecturing that there's a big delivery of patients coming tomorrow. Which there's been Renara's been a little busy and organising some kind of special accommodation for them. I wonder if that's a ship out there. There's a large vessel, possibly of Neverwinter origin. It has a particularly more sort of a bulbous, open sort of structure and some defences that allow it to ice break when necessary, since Neverwinter's far to the north. Because although the city is heated by the volcanic activity that's beneath it, the seas off the coast are able to freeze up. But that's regardless. Everyone knows about the style of ships in Neverwinter.
Do we have hot springs on this island? Do we?
So
Maybe
the
that could be a healing
Stormwreckers.
thing.
Stormwreckers, you do have hot springs. Stormwreck Island is far to the south. It's off the coast of Waterdeep, in much, much more pleasant climes than Neverwinter, which is far to the north near the spine of the world. You do, in fact, have a hot springs activity, which is one of the things that happens on Heal Day. cleansing baths in the hot spring. So yes, there's all sorts of weird active sort of maybe it's volcanic, but it doesn't have the same kind of sulfurous smell that you'd normally associate it with volcanic hot springs. Perhaps it's kind of the draconic influence that heats the water under the ground or something.
Cool.
Yeah, so apparently, so your husband has been talking about there's a lot of activity in the hospice about a big new delivery of clients. He calls them patients anyway, but not in front of Bruno.
What's his name again?
Harding
Greenhand. I love it.
Cool.
And he, and you've just been looking out over the coast because you'd love to discuss the coming vessels, what's coming, what's going. You, of course, as a musician and a poet, are very interested in people who have travelled to wide places that are far away and seen sights and things like that. And so you're really, really keen to connect with people. So especially when you see an exotic vessel, a Neverwinter ship is not exotic or interesting in any real way at all. It's one of the biggest cities on the Sword Coast, and a lot of them come through. But anyway, that's fine. It's still interesting from the point of view that what is it delivering?
Yeah. All people are interesting. Everyone's got a story.
Excellent. Harding is a great source of gossip from what's happening in the hospice, and you're very, very interested only having your own limited input. Good. Derek, where would you be?
Look, I'm a little bit of an introvert, but on nights like this, I do find that eavesdropping in the main area of the bar is something that he loves to do, purely to pick up information and gossip and, work out what the vibe of the town is, perhaps work out things that people have found or trails that he can follow. So he takes a big book into the bar on this night and sits and reads and doesn't read but actually listens. So the book is there as a prop. He doesn't sort of engage with people unless he feels like they've got something interesting to tell him or they know something. So he's keen to talk to sailors. He's keen to talk to people who have been, circumnavigating the Stormwreck Island and have been going up and down the coast. And he's keen for any gossip or bits of history. Old sailors are also a target of his. He likes to talk to people who've been on the sea for quite some time. So that's his MO on a night like this, to take a book down there, and he's kind of a little bit confrontational with his dress. Like, he doesn't dress to hide his orcish features. He wears cut off sleeves to show his grayish green skin, and he often has he's got his tusks, obviously. So he's not afraid of showing that he's an orc. And he has taken to start tattooing magical symbols on his arms.
Well, or just like, baby's first tattoo kind of thing.
Yeah, I think he's. There'd be plenty of opportunities to get someone professional to do this on the island, wouldn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't mean that you should go access them. I think it's kind of cool to kind of be experimenting yourself.
I think I like the idea of him doing it on himself. I think there's there may be a desire to tattoo spells onto his skin.
Orc spellbook.
Yeah, and that might be his the way that he'll never have his spellbook stolen again, like what happened just outside of Waterdeep.
I can picture you getting like
I cast magic missile.
I picture you getting higher up in level and eventually like fully tattooed, and someone trying to come in to skin you because suddenly your flesh is just worth, your skin is worth so much because of all the spells.
Yep,
So
I like it.
That is so cool. So although you like to eavesdrop by pretending to read a book, which obviously just looks very strange considering what you just described, you look like people sort of edge away and you kind of edge slightly closer and accidentally lean over to get some nuts from the bar and end up settling down a bit closer.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely if he's throwing his weight around a little bit in this bar. He's been here a while now, and sort of if he feels like if he hasn't been thrown out by now, he never will. So
Where's magic missile tattooed? Sorry, keep going.
the bottom of my foot.
Never misses.
Was the Arland draconic upwelling that's got me all sort of hot under the collar. Okay, excellent. Fantastic. I mean, there have been many evenings like this over the last couple of years. You know, many pleasant evenings hearing sort of inconsequential tidbits from the mainland and seeing ships come and go. And you know, sort of amounting to not very much apart from a little bit of gossip, a little bit of interest, and a little bit of alleviation of the mundane. You notice the two of you, dwarf and halfling, this Neverwinter boat sends a longboat to the dock. And is anyone good at... Can you guys see particularly well? I suppose you can, probably. Or good side, or do you keep a glass with you so you can look down and spy on the vessels? Maybe you do.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, it's hard to see, but maybe just one person or a couple of people get off the longboat, and then the longboat returns to the large Neverwinter ship, which then leaves the harbour again. Which seems strange, because normally they would have, you know, stopped and unloaded a whole lot of really valuable stuff and picked up a whole lot of valuable stuff, or unloaded all the passengers, or pulled in permanently. So it just heads back out of the harbour and rounds the head. So leaves the harbour on to head north up the coast of Stormwreck, perhaps, or to head. Maybe that's the way you go to get back to Neverwinter. So maybe it's heading back up. It's certainly not going further down south. So maybe it was on its way back and it's just dropped someone off or whatever, which is strange. You do hear, it's very common to hear such sort of claims, Derek, but you do hear sort of mutterings of trouble in Neverwinter and things like this from people, and sort of whispered excitement, but really it's nothing much to take notice of, because people are always saying that there's sort of trouble in one place or another, or Waterdeep's about to implode, or, you know, can you believe they sort of, you know, this new ruler's come into Lusk and they're going to invade any moment and all that sort of stuff.
Is there an uptick? Is there like an increase in the chatter about it? Or
yeah, I mention it because maybe you sense a little bit of, you know, intrigue about what's going on in Neverwinter. There's been some strange news out of there, or something like that. So it's worth mentioning amongst the general hoi polloi of hollow rumours.
Dulcimer player is really bad.
We need to find a better one.
He's all over the show.
He is, isn't he? Terrible. I had such fun recording this bar. It's so fun.
Oh, yeah.
And had a really massive hangover the next day, I imagine.
That's right. I know. I had to drink so much. Oh, it was very hard work. We are of late turning all our music tracks. So this one's about 20 minutes worth of music. We're turning them all into about 45 minutes worth of music. So I'm having to record a whole lot more drunken. We're basically taking every genre of music that's supported in Sirenscape and extending it right out, so that the repetition level just goes down a massive chunk again, which is lots of fun. So I'm pulling out all my different bard ensembles and re-recording additional tracks.
Yeah, you got to record all those Dulcimer tracks now too.
I will, man. I got my work cut out for me
Next week.
So arriving in the pub is a large. Let's say the bard takes a break. Thank you. Get off. Get off. That's right. You hear an actual audible sigh from the kitchen. And people are like, oh, perhaps my hamburger won't be so burnt now. Hamburger. What's the favorite and appropriate name for a hamburger? If anyone knows, can they comment? A quite large human, relatively well fitted out warrior with a large sword attached to his waist comes into the bar. Sort of, what were the front doors of this tavern like? Are they like flapping western things, or
I imagine they wouldn't be because we're on the coast and the weather wouldn't be particularly great. So I imagine it'd be a fairly sturdy door.
Okay. Does it creak when it opens? What does it sound?
If someone sort of burst in medieval times creak. That's right. I can't picture a door like that doesn't.
Yeah. So there's a large swing. It's actually quite a balmy kind of night. So it's quite hot outside. It's quite hot inside the tavern as well. There's not much breeze. The promised evening, sea breeze hasn't sort of arrived, so it doesn't really make much difference to the atmosphere inside. Perhaps at some point you shouted at someone, John, for someone to open some windows, but maybe they misinterpreted you and they delivered an extra salad to table 7 instead. So that hasn't happened yet, which has been you've been trying to get to it, but you just haven't got to it yet. But this large warrior walks in. He's followed by a halfling in black leathers with a row of like throwing knives on like a halter, like a holster up his chest, 5 of them. And a nasty-looking long dagger without a sheath at his waist. Looks like it's like a tearaway kind of arrangement or something like that. Black everywhere. Some of it sort of fairly new, some of it fairly old. It's a very large, strong, muscle-bound human, and a halfling who follows him along like a shadow, like a noonday shadow. This guy approaches the bar and clunks his great big fist down on the table and has a look around. Where are you at this current moment, John?
Opening windows.
You finally got impatient.
The bard's left. Everyone's calmed down. I can finally.
They're protesting, swollen as they are from the salty sea breeze. And hammered by the frequent wetting storms that pass over the island.
So I'll see someone's at the thing, and I'll sweatily wiping my brow, come and head over. Well, good evening, travellers.
Oh.
Can I fetch you the local specialty, a fine dragon's blood? It's potent, has a spice to it. I think you'll like it.
Dragon's blood.
Aye, we mine dragon bone here on the island, so a little sprinkle here, a little sprinkle there, and I find it amplifies the flavors.
Interesting. And all these people have drunk dragon's blood and they're fine? He sort of looks around.
Oh, no.
All the people.
Oh, no. No, it's not for the common lot. No, it's a fine drink. No, I only reserve that for my favored customers.
Sort of leans in and looks sort of narrowed eye at you, and then seems to make a decision and goes, "Very well, deliver this dragon's blood." And he reaches into his
I'll look his before he's reached into the cash. I'll look down at the halfling. And for you, sir. Like, just ignore him and look directly at
the large warrior says, "He doesn't need anything."
Well, I think we all need something on a night like tonight. Maybe something cool and refreshing.
The halfling is quite sort of skittery and looks kind of almost awkward,
and maybe
to be
calming
addressed.
as well. Something cool and calming.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes. That sounds nice. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. And the large warrior sort of looks down at him, sort of irritated by the fact he's broken or something.
I don't know what the pricing is like. Was like 3 copper coins or
three copper. Yeah.
Yeah.
You announce that to him. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'd rather theatrically make 2 scratches on a paper, as if noting the sale, and then go back to my book.
Is it the kind of like chalk on chalkboard kind of like lines? Everyone looks over.
It's sort of Darrow 2, customers 0.
That's right. Yeah, fantastic.
And what brings 2 fine gentlemen such as yourselves into a fine establishment like ours?
I seek information.
Well, there's a town crier usually comes past on the hour, or there's a local board that'll tell you a few things.
He sort of furrows his brow.
But I don't have an exclamation point above my head.
he leans in, sort of looks sort of slightly irritated.
What does he smell like?
Bad.
So off the ships.
He's off the ship. His cloak is dirty and ratty. It looks like he's maybe been on the road. So he looks like kind of one of these kind of adventurer folks, that's been sort of around and about. And I mean, Neverwinter people smell bad in general. They smell of sort of garlic and
that's the rumors.
That's spices and stuff.
Gossip.
Yeah, that's right.
And perhaps a Barth. Stormwreck Island is famous for its hot springs. I think a bath might be something I could recommend if you're looking for information on locations around here.
A bath.
I can arrange it.
Yes. That would be satisfactory. Thank you. You can accommodate me for this evening.
Yes, of course. And accommodation upstairs. It's all sorted.
I need the rest. The ship journey was not pleasant.
Oh, where do you hail from? Sorry, Jack. You come in.
You can come in.
I was gonna butt my nose.
I like you coming in. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I said, well, where have you travelled from today?
Pauses slightly longer than you would have expected and says, Neverwinter. I've travelled from Neverwinter.
Oh, a long trip.
Yes.
Did you? Are you here on business or pleasure?
Looks between the two of you like he's confused about who to address.
I'll start fixing the drinks and stuff. So I'll
okay.
Yeah.
And then he looks at the stool and sits down. And the halfling just stands sort of, by his side. Awkwardly. And then he turns to you. You're an orc.
That's true.
High perception.
You have the air of somebody who has seen a lot of battle.
And killed a lot of orcs. I mean, no offense, obviously.
Well, no, we live in dangerous times. Do you think I could cast a spell?
You can definitely cast a spell.
There's a cantrip called Friends.
Okay.
Yes.
You magically emanate a sense of friendship towards one creature you can see within range. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition for the duration. Duration is 1 minute.
And if he makes... Sorry, did you say a save?
Wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition.
And in some spells that I've encountered in the past, if he makes the save, he's aware he made a save against a spell?
Let's see. The spell ends early if the target takes damage. It doesn't say...
Okay.
It does say when the spell ends, the target knows it was charmed.
Okay.
Oh, yes, it does too.
Okay, that's cool. I like it. And for how long does it last?
1 minute.
1 minute. He rolled a 3 on his save anyway, so I don't think he's going to be earth-shatteringly aware that something's gone on.
All right.
Okay, so you do like a sort of slightly Jedi kind of like
Is it tattooed on you, Derek?
Yeah,
hang on.
Like maybe
just get out my right boob. That's right.
Yeah, so I do the droids you're not looking for.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
line, and
And
I
I
say-
fine tonight.
yeah, and I say, well, I overheard you saying that you were after information. What exactly would you like to know about our fair town?
Yes. And he smiles, sort of quite a friendly-looking smile, which looks like a grimace on his heavy face. You see, a big scar is, sort of, as he lifts his cheek, a big scar folds on his right hand. So he's a man who's seen some combat. I hear there's a dryad on this island.
Really? That's fascinating. Tell me more.
I was hoping you'd tell me more.
Oh,
Where is the dryad?
I haven't heard tell of a dryad being around here, but the island is full and it's quite mountainous terrain. There are many nooks and crannies and small pockets of forest around the place that a dryad may be hiding in. Why do you seek such a thing?
Huh? This isn't bad.
Good.
My employee requires bits of a dryad.
Oh,
Employer. My employer requires bits of a dryad.
The
So you
drink's
would
stronger
seek
than it
to-
seems.
kill this dryad and take a part of it. Is that correct?
Not necessarily kill the dryad, but depending on what she's willing to give up, perhaps yes. It can be the most straightforward way to solve a problem.
Interesting. Can I take in a little bit more of what he's wearing? Is he? Does he have any insignia or any?
Yep. Good question.
Anything on the pommels of his weaponry or anything like that might give
So he
him-
does. So he doesn't look like the organization called the Harper. He doesn't look like a Harper.
He's not a harper. Okay.
Significant. He doesn't look like he's not dressed as militia of Waterdeep or not. He doesn't look as like
Okay.
town guard of Waterdeep or Baldur's Gate or he doesn't look like
Never
a
liked
Luskan folk. Yeah, he looks like a man who's independently available for employment upon requirement. So a mercenary sort of guy. He doesn't look like a pirate. He looks like
He's
possibly
neither
a
running nor walking.
That's right.
He's
Possibly
neither a
a
pirate nor a soldier.
That's right. Yeah,
He's
possibly
what
neither
is he?
tall nor short.
possibly a Waterdavian. So possibly a Waterdavian. So he looks like his So sort of a cosmopolitan kind of guy. Yeah, he travels the Sword Coast and looks for work.
Well, I have. Go ahead, Jenny.
I was just going to say, the word dryad sort of cuts through and catches my attention.
Yeah, perhaps the pub itself, the tavern itself, actually quietens down a little bit more as because this is definitely the most interesting thing that's happened like for a couple of weeks.
Do you think, in my kind of wanderings around the island, writing poetry and songs, I might know where this dryad is?
So no, but there's certainly, as the orc said, there's definitely room enough for a dryad, and there's certainly forests out there that where you could certainly hide if you were a dryad. There's plenty of area, there's plenty of forests, there's definitely a magicaliness around them, and a lot of beautiful untouched stuff and valleys which don't get trafficked.
Certainly, I feel like Gwynlynn would be more on the side of the dryad than on this guy's.
Yeah. Renara tends to know everything in kind of a sort of kind of way that she seems to know almost everything about the island and a heck of a lot of more history than you would have thought. And well, she's obviously read a lot and studied, and she's old and very, very wise and intelligent. So if she's the one person that immediately occurs to most of you that would probably know where there was a dryad grove, if there was one.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd want to tell this guy that anyway.
Sorry,
He wants to chop up
Renara
the
owns
dryad.
mountains.
Huh? Renara is the leader of the hospice.
Leader
She
of the
founded, as far as you know, the hospice. Like before any of you were involved. It's always sort of been on Stormwreck. Yeah, so a long time ago.
Okay.
50 years ago, at least. She founded the hospice. She's a relatively elderly but good-looking and healthy female human. She has sort of medium-length silver hair. She's beautiful. She speaks with a deep, calming voice, and she's an amazing manager of people, and seems to have quite the vision for helping the world in any way that everyone can sort of do.
What's her
And
name? Sorry.
Runara. Runara.
Runara.
R-U-N-A-R-A. Yeah, Runara.
Yep.
So she would probably
Life
know.
goal.
That's right, totally. I've noted it down. Absolutely.
Hunter's Mark.
Hunter's.
I love it.
There are probably ways of impressing Renara. Running a tavern is where you focus on healing food that actually contributes to society. It's
you'll be on
probably
her
a
radar.
fairly good start. Absolutely.
Pretty sure she's the one that kicked me out. So, yeah.
She would have been very scary with kicking you out, and very more scary in that way. Like, she's terribly disappointed, and she doesn't hide the fact, and that actually makes you feel quite a lot worse than you would have thought you would have felt, kind of thing. Yeah.
My kind of woman. Excellent.
That's
Those are the qualities I seek.
Yep.
So I see
Equal
blank.
parts intimidated and attracted.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yep.
So do you know where this dryad is? Presumably in a dryad grove or something.
Might know someone who could help you, but she's a little busy right now. She's on a date.
On a date?
Doesn't really well with her husband, but she doesn't like to be disturbed all that much. But perhaps you could win her over with in some fashion. It's Gwynlynn. I'll gesture to Johnny. Gwynlynn? Yeah, Gwynlynn.
Yeah, fantastic. He walks over, just sort of straight over to the table, sort of pretty much towering over the table, and the rogue shadows him pretty much like a shadow. Maybe there's some sort of light source that determines on which side he stands of him, so he's actually literally standing in the shadow of this guy. Greetings, Gwynlynn. My name is Alec Stoneblade, which he sort of says in slightly more grand fashion than kind of was entirely necessary, as if expecting some kind of recognition, or just hoping for it maybe to be a recognizable name at some point.
Is that a name that I can recognize?
Not in the slightest, no.
No? Okay.
You may know me. Nope. No, we don't.
Nope, nobody does.
People
Well
start to talk a little louder at that announcement. Do you know where the dryad is?
The dryad?
Yes.
Which dryad would that be in particular? I have known of some dryads in the past.
Oh,
Ka-ching.
excellent.
Interesting creatures.
He grabs a seat from a table next door. There were some people at the table, but they weren't using that seat. It's unclear whether the person has just gone up to go to the toilet or something. But anyway, it was available, so he takes it and he sets it down and lowers his ample, muscly ass into it, and then sort of gets up again and pulls the cloak, which was caught underneath, and puts it over the back. You've known some dryads. I have heard.
Have you ever known a dryad?
I have never known a dryad nor met a dryad, but I gather they are wily and mischievous and difficult to hold down.
I suppose they are. They like to keep to themselves.
Yes, but I need to meet a dryad.
Yes.
I need some
Let's-
bits of a dryad.
Some bits.
Yes.
Of the tree of the dryad or the dryad themselves?
Dryad themselves.
I see.
They must give it willingly.
Really? I've never heard of a dryad doing such a thing.
Mm-hmm. And do they keep to themselves?
Indeed. Indeed. They do not tend to interact with the likes of us.
So you don't know where the
I've
dryad
never
is?
seen a... Well, not on this
No?
island, no.
It is rumored there is a dryad on this island.
I would love to meet them.
I have done extensive research on this island, and I don't believe that I've ever heard of a dryad existing here. Where did you
Well,
get this
there you have it.
from?
There was information in the library of Neverwinter that Stormwreck Island is the home of dryads.
Interesting.
And my master,
Oh.
my employer, suggested that this would be a place come to seek.
I make a note of that on my my book.
Do you know anyone who would know where the dryad is on this island?
No. I can't say I would.
Do you know? Would you? Sorry, would your character would suspect that Renara would know?
Yeah.
Or
So I think you need to give
it'd
me-
be in the
give me-
library.
Yeah. So give me deception. That's cool. Excellent. So you are sort
Yeah.
of claiming ignorance. Excellent.
Maybe, alright. I feel like I should be able to make a roll. Yeah, there you go, 19. That
He
should
rolled an
be pretty-
18. Okay, he
I rolled a
leans.
16 plus 3, 19.
That's amazing. So he leans in with his eyes sort of narrowed. Or perhaps a
you
bath
could
that's
speak to, to some of
yes.
the woodland creatures. I think the dryads are more likely to speak with the animals than with humanoids.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
You can speak to woodland creatures, can't you?
No.
Perhaps
Can
your
you?
friend here. I don't think we've met. And then I'll greet the halfling in halfling fluently, because I speak halfling, and say, "Well met, friend. What is your name?"
He looks partially overjoyed that you've actually addressed him directly, especially in halfling. And he replies in halfling. Says, my name is Tommy. Tommy Undergallows. Tommy's fine. Tommy's fine.
This is my husband Harding. He's
To meet you. And he goes, you can see him basically transform a little bit into more halfling kind of way, kind of become a little bit more sort of,
I'll bring a chair
Country
over
way.
a halfling-sized stool and place it next to you guys, and some peas pottage, kind of with bread and cheese for the halfling, and I guess for this other guy as well.
Thank you. And gesture.
I imagine that Harding and this halfling can sort of strike up a conversation.
Absolutely. Yes, and they quickly start using. I almost fell off my chair. They quickly start using halfling language that stretches your ability of it's fast. They just go into fast and they go into slang and they you gather they start discussing regions and sort of and recipes presumably fairly quickly in the picture as well.
Yep.
Excellent.
I mean, Harding is really good at meeting new people. Like, that's what he does.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Make this guy feel welcomed and at home and comfortable and yep.
You do catch one thing in the conversation fairly quickly. Or does anyone else want to do anything first before?
Lead this guy to like a bath and stuff? So I'll sort of separate him from his halfling and sort of let him go up to his bath, and I'll have it all ready for him, and get rid of him.
Excellent. How do you heat water in your establishment?
I have create element.
Oh,
Nice.
that's cool. That's a
No, wait.
Yeah,
no,
so
I
that's-
don't. Oh, bum.
Oh.
I probably could learn it, though.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So you sort of like literally have like you create a fire underneath a copper kind of thing.
Either that or we're connected through some kind of pipe system to the hot springs,
to the
which
hot
would be kind
waters.
of fun. Maybe that'd actually be more fun than
Okay.
creating water,
Let's do that. Yeah.
kind of
yeah,
the hotspot
absolutely.
type.
Yeah. So Japanese island, Japanese countryside kind of
Yeah.
style. You just like there's like just random springs that emerge, in all sorts of different places, and they've been tapped and contained, and then okay, cool. Well, this would definitely contribute to the success of this particular establishment.
Okay.
Maybe it was broken when you bought it, and it hadn't been functioning, and the business had slowly gone into the ground, and you worked to reestablish it. Maybe you had some help from some of the people at the hospice. There are some people who are handy with that kind of stuff. In particular, Varnoth, who does maintenance and stuff.
Well, I'm an alchemist, and I think so is Murray's character. So maybe there's something in that too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Good.
wonderful.
So,
So I'll get him separated so that you guys can all
Good.
talk.
Excellent. So these guys are rabbiting on in Halfling. You do hear the name Runara mentioned fairly early on by your husband, which the Tommy takes great interest in, and they sort of continue. You just let them keep talking. I mean,
There might be
definitely.
something if I ever catch the eye of the halfling, I might say in common sign language that it's a pleasure to welcome you to Stormwreck if he understands that.
That's cool. Yeah, he's basically grinning and feeling welcomed and included and valued and drinking some of the wine presumably you've supplied and cheese. And
A cool, refreshing kind of iced
A cool,
wine
refreshing
type thing.
That's right.
yeah.
Yes, that's right.
With some kind of cucumber equivalent, something.
Does he react like he understands my sign language? Is it a
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
okay? Right, cool.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Presumably he's got sort of all sorts of undercover languages and a history with a name like Undergallows and the look of a thief.
The look of a thief, yeah. I
That's
think
right.
a fairly
there's-
safe bet.
It's quite a well-established thief. Sort of Waterdeep is a place of quite the underworld. Obviously, the Xanathar Guild is quite famous in Waterdeep for being a well-organized, semi-mainstream government integrated organization that sort of oversees crime and the sort of regulation, but non-interference in the operation of the city in kind of a functional way. Rumored to be run by a beholder. But that's just one of the many rumors you hear. They chat for a while, and they're comfortable and hit the night off, and maybe we can pass some time if no one else wants to do anything. They chat fairly long into the evening. Perhaps you're slightly irritated, Gwynlynn, that your date night has been now hijacked by. It's lovely to see your husband happy and connecting with a halfling. It's not an opportunity he gets. No, they're not very common on this island.
Yeah, maybe I'll I don't do does Arland play any games or anything?
Arland.
Yeah, sure. I think Arland would love to sort of
Yes.
anything that's sort of chess-like or
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Okay. Excellent. So
Yeah,
you guys
we
play
can-
chess instead.
Get a game out and play chess.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. So
I would love that.
the large warrior is deposited in the bed and snoring fairly loudly in his room. The two halflings crap on all evening about presumably some kind of relevant stuff to a certain point, but probably mostly not, as halflings do.
Yep.
And chess ensues, and it's a lovely evening. The people have something to talk about and sort of bag out Neverwinter people. He's only underlined the apprehensions that Neverwinter people are smelly and a bit sort of rude and find it difficult to fit in. So people are quite happy to have their preconceptions confirmed. And we could take a break if you like and come back after a little breakette.
Love it.
Awesome.
Beautiful.